we're an organization called North America Blockchain Association. So basically, we have all the events and interviews like centering around companies, industry that has relationship to blockchain or has aspirations in like developing the business around blockchain. So I am actually in charge of like interviewing expertise or professionals that are in or around this business, so we can get more insights from the industry, especially from professional like you. And we have our website and our platforms on social networks, and we also have our LinkedIn account, Twitter account, and also Facebook page. So could we start right into the questions?
Sure. What's question one?
So, first, to start off, could you like briefly introduce yourself and Consensys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. My name is Andrew Keys, and my background has primarily been capital markets. I worked at UBS Investment Banking.
Oh.
I worked at Goldman Sachs-owned hedge fund, and I co-founded a revenue cycle management company. So basically what revenue cycle management is specifically in the healthcare sector. So one would go to the doctor, they would hand their insurance card to the doctor, and the doctor would input the information into a computer with the medical exam, and that would get essentially sent to my billers that are in Chennai, India, that would process the insurance claims, and eventually the doctor would be paid. So it was essentially handling that whole revenue cycle. And during that time, I learned about how bad the payment systems are in American healthcare. And I think that prior to that, I saw how bad the payment systems were within the large investment banks. And during this time, Bitcoin happened. And I saw Bitcoin as this really cool, interesting experiment in monetary policy. The problem with Bitcoin is that really the only function it could solve is that I could send you a Bitcoin and you could send it back to me. There was just the transfer and exchange and the ability to hold value. Although it was a great first step, there was a lot more potential that I saw with the underlying blockchain technology. And I met a gentleman by the name of Joseph Lubin, who was one of the co-founders of the Ethereum project. And I met him at the first New York Ethereum meetup. Once I understood that Ethereum had the ability to make any type of agreement or transaction that one could codify, it was kind of a crystallizing moment in my professional career. And I told Joe that I would work with him in a new company for free, for no salary, for equity in the company. And that was Consensys. And I run Consensys' global business development. And in doing so, basically, I drive all of the commercial business-related activities. So Consensys is a technology company that builds software specifically using the Ethereum blockchain, which we believe is the most powerful blockchain out there. Consensys has three main focuses. The first is deep infrastructure. We maintain 2 out of the 7 versions of the Ethereum protocol. We maintain the Java client and the Haskell client. Next focus is that we do enterprise consulting. So every Fortune 500 in the world, every big company is saying, what is blockchain technology? How is it going to change our business? And how can we test these hypotheses? So basically, we help them build out various use cases and then deploy them into the market. We've done that in insurance, healthcare, banking, oil and gas, electricity, supply chain management, and retail, and have many other companies coming to us to build various technologies. And then the last piece that we do is we build pure product for the Ethereum. So we build decentralized applications that can be used employing blockchain technology.
Great. I didn't know you also do the consulting part. I thought it was more on the products building part. Yeah, that was really insightful. So you mentioned that you built a lot of like interesting applications or tools. Are there any like that you think is quite representative in terms of Consensys products?
So I think one thing that will be extremely interesting is the concept of blockchain-based digital identity. We have one product, and the website is uport.me. And Uport is basically a self-sovereign digital identity system.
Okay.
And the bottom line is that, for example, around the world, 25% of humans don't have an actual ID. And this helps give them actual identification and give everybody identification. And we're able to send this information about us granularly to companies if necessary to authenticate and to permit transactions to occur on our behalf, rather than having our data stored at some third party's database that could be subject to hacking.
As we know that you've mentioned that like blockchain has been referred as a trust machine, but like consumers have been used like other trusting agencies like banks or other financial agencies. So how do you think customers can be persuaded or accept this sort of new notion?
What we're going to see is that the cost of trust is going to go way down. And basically, customers are going to see new services in the market that they retain much more value because they don't have to pay for the cost of trust. In essence, for all simplicity, a blockchain is just a next generation of the database. It's just a new version of a database. When you're using a database, every time you use any type of website or application or fill in your name, but most of the time you don't know it. If you fill something in to buy a plane ticket, you're using an Oracle database, but all you see is kind of the website of the company. So similarly, I hope, and if blockchain developers do their job well, people shouldn't even notice that the back end of the application is a blockchain, except for it should be more efficient and cheaper.
Yeah, I think you're like putting forward a really good point that what customer care is more on the service quality instead of like discovering how is it really been done back end.
Right, agreed.
Yes. So you've mentioned a lot of things about Ethereum, the platform. What are you see as some of the limitations or some things that need to be improved?
The Ethereum platform is a public blockchain. Well, first and foremost, the Ethereum public blockchain is still in beta. By beta, I mean that it has two main issues to solve before it is an actual real place where businesses will regularly transact and do lots of work. And the two things that it has to solve, one is scalability. So, for example, American Express or Visa, they do about 30,000 transactions per second. The most transactions per second that's ever happened by a single entity was WeChat. WeChat did 121,000 transactions in 1 second. And the Bitcoin public blockchain does about 3 transactions per second. The Ethereum public blockchain right now does about 40. So when you're comparing this to the type of inputs that are necessary to deal with big populations, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
So Ethereum has what's called their scalability roadmap, and there are going to be technical improvements to the Ethereum protocol that will help to get us up into the thousands, hundreds of thousands, and potentially millions of transactions per second. And there are two ways to do it. It's somewhat technical, but I'll give you a brief overview.
Okay.
Every time a new block is propagated in a blockchain, there's an algorithm right now that both Bitcoin and Ethereum use, and that algorithm is called proof of work.
Okay.
And the first thing in Ethereum's scalability roadmap is that we're changing from proof of work to a different type of algorithm called proof of stake.
Okay.
And that should have us go from 40, 50 transactions per second to a couple thousand transactions per second.
Yeah, that's a lot more.
Yeah. Then there's another tool or process that's called sharding of address space.
Okay.
And that should make us go from a couple thousand to a couple million transactions per second. So when that happens, scalability, that will be a big hurdle that will have been overcome. And then the other one is privacy. Basically, in addition to the scalability roadmap, we also have a privacy roadmap where we're going to incorporate what's called homomorphic encryption. And once those two things are done, we'll be in a very good place. Those are the two main hurdles.
Okay. That's very helpful in terms of understanding the challenges this platform is facing.
And the other thing that I'd just like to add is that because the public network, and I bifurcate, I divide networks, blockchains into kind of two spaces, and I call them kind of the public networks and then the permissioned or private networks. There are versions of the Ethereum protocol that are on private intranets. So until the scalability and privacy roadmap is accomplished, we use versions of the Ethereum network that are on the clouds.
Okay.
So that's not like using just the main public network. And then if you're on a cloud, like Microsoft Azure, you don't have to worry about scalability because you can change it so you don't have to use a consensus algorithm. And you can get thousands of transactions per second right now. And you can change it so you can get privacy right now in a permission setting. And that's what the majority of the enterprises are doing that we consult for.
Okay, great. Also, we know that one of your business partners is Microsoft, correct?
Yes.
Also, what are some of the cooperations you've done so far, and how do you think this partnership is helping your business, or what are some challenges you have?
The first and foremost aspect to the business partnership is that we've put a permissioned version of Ethereum, which is called blockapps.net, onto the Microsoft Azure cloud. And then basically what we can do is that any company that is interested in learning about this technology that has a Microsoft Cloud access is able to log in and use block apps. So they're able to build proof of concepts into production environments on the Azure cloud. So the first part of the partnership has been that it's given us an infrastructure where we can build applications onto. Secondly, it's helped us in global reach. What I mean by that is that Microsoft is a large technology company that has thousands of developers all over the world and millions of clients. And our partnership with Microsoft helps us to kind of amplify our offering throughout the world. Right now I'm in Singapore, and after this I leave and I go to the Microsoft and I talk to their clients. because their clients want to know what blockchain is.
Yeah.
So I can do that anywhere in the world. I can go to Microsoft Chile or Microsoft Argentina or Microsoft France. We can do that. In doing so, we've had customers in healthcare and finance and insurance. And then the last thing is that Microsoft and Consensys have formed a partnership around digital identity. And I think that if you just Google Microsoft Consensys blockchain identity, there's lots of press about the collaboration and the open source foundation that we're forming around digital identity.
Wow, that sounds really exciting for the digital identity part. Next question is about paradigm shifts, because we've experienced a lot of paradigm shifts, like from paper to desktop to mobile. What sort of opportunity do you view for blockchain in terms of the paradigm shift?
So the paradigm shift is that we are going to now have to trust intermediaries. We have to trust middlemen. And going forward, the cost of trust and the process of trust is going to drastically decline. So what we're going to see is that a new internet that doesn't need the intermediary. And basically, the internet evolved how we communicate, and Ethereum will evolve and simplify how we agree. The internet did for communications, Ethereum is going to do for our agreements.
So it will also largely increase the efficiency of the process?
Absolutely. So things will become much more efficient, much less bureaucratic, and it will work very well.
Okay, great. What are the biggest opportunities or challenges you view for Consensys as a company?
The biggest opportunities is the ability to build applications and enterprise solutions and products for the next generation of the internet, which we believe to be Ethereum. The challenges are A, not having enough hours in the day, B, being able to clearly explain this to the world so they understand the true implications of this. And then C is that there are other kind of imposter or weaker types of technologies, but they're made by companies with big marketing budgets. Basically, it's be able to deliver a message in a more coherent manner.
You mentioned you also meet a lot of clients globally, and you mentioned that it's very important to explain this concept or this notion to them, to let them understand in order to get the business done or others. From your experience, what are some of the important things that you have to care about when you explain this thing to a person or a client that he or she may not understand?
I think that the way to do it is by explaining through examples. So there are a few use cases we've created already, which are good examples, and that's how we explain. Because imagine 20 years ago when someone trying to explain what the internet was. It's just like that today. Trying to explain what a blockchain is, because we're only seeing this kind of in a spectrum of time. Yeah,
I agree on that. Through demonstration or examples, let them to understand what benefits it could bring.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.